All right, so councillors, I'm Mark Richardson from HousingNowTO to speak on delivering digital government. I added an extra line in there, which is delivering digital government like our global peers. Want to send you a warm welcome from all the folks who were down at the New York City School of Data this weekend on Saturday. I was down there with a number of other people from the city of, from Toronto. We were there with the Chief Analytics Officer, the Chief Technology Officer, mayoral staff, and 3 New York City councillors, plus 400 plus advocates for open data and civic technology. The sign behind them is very important. It says, "Happy Birthday, New York City Open Data Law." It's a law. It's not a policy. It's not a master plan. It's an actual law in New York City. New York City's data school is run by Beta NYC. Their mandate is to envision an informed and empowered public that can leverage civic design, technology, and data to hold government accountable and to improve their economic opportunity. So in 2012, Mayor Mike Bloomberg signed their open data law into power. In 2016 and 2017, Mayor de Blasio created open data compliance plans for all their divisions, departments, and agencies. In addition, in 2017, they formalized the Chief Analytics Mayor's Office of Data Analytics was added into the city charter, which is like writing it into the City of Toronto Act. And that's really, there were some very hard questions for your CIO today. And essentially, your CIO is trying to do most of this stuff with one arm tied behind his back because you haven't given him any carrot or any stick to deliver on these requirements. Going to very quickly show this, this video from New York City because it has some interesting yellow bubbles in it, which I think is important to see.
How do you keep a city of 8 million people effective, efficient, and on its feet? Open data is part of the approach. Every time you call 311, apply for a construction permit, or ride in a yellow cab, you're contributing to the creation of public data. You're also seeing your government at work. Data sets collected by city agencies keep your government moving at the pace of the people it serves. NYC OpenData is the city initiative to put this data back in your hands. Every day, New Yorkers use open data to advocate for their communities, build their businesses, and hold their elected officials accountable. The city is yours to analyze. Start exploring at nyc.gov/data.
So a bunch of those yellow buttons that popped up were really interesting because they're things we don't do here in the city of Toronto. There were bubbles for bike share data, for parking information, for third parties like Ubers and taxis. You guys enter into RFPs with companies and you don't bake into your RFPs that they have to give you data that you can release publicly as part of that agreement. I posted a blog after the data school this weekend called Open Data for Wicked Problems. It talks a little bit about the stuff that Jen was talking about from a shelter and housing point of view. How do we focus our open data deliverables on the hard problems of the city, not the easy stuff? Specifically, there's a couple of things that have come up in the last year or so that I thought you might be interested in from the New York City example. So HeatSeek New York, we've been working with them, some of the folks in the local open data community, for people who have problems with apartment buildings, bad landlords, where the apartments are too hot in the summertime and too cold in the wintertime. There's a brutal paperwork process to actually file a claim. Putting a sensor like this into the apartments lets you create an automated record once every hour, shows you what the average temperature was, how many hours that unit was in violation. We have some of these, and we're going to be working with some of the local groups here in Toronto to get those into some of your actual problematic apartments. Some of you were talking about 311. There's Reported NYC, which is a open data interface to their 311 system. Lets people report bicycle lanes being blocked by taxis, by armored vehicles, by paper shredding trucks. Somebody's always going to ask, how do we pay for it? Councillor Holliday might ask that question. Last year, by putting this into the hands of the citizens of New York City, the citizens issued $380,000 worth US of tickets for violations. So you found $500,000 you weren't going to get, and it didn't cost you anything in order to do that. The last one here is one we've done here locally, which is the HousingNowTO program. So when the mayor announced HousingNowTO, we scraped data, some of it out of your OpenData system, but also out of the City Council TMIS system, the TTC, Toronto Parking Authority, and Metrolinx Eglinton Crosstown. We ran that through Map Your Property with some tools from the Evergreen Foundation, and we worked with the Ryerson planning students. And we've created a public map. We were somewhat inspired by Councillor Matlow's map that he has on his site, which tracks development in his ward. So now we have a public map that is free, interactive, that tracks all of these Housing Now sites with their details. We launched it in January. We've had over 6,000 hits on the site since we launched it. And probably the most interesting thing is that most of our traffic comes from inside City Hall, CreateTO, TCHC, and your own networks. Your staff are using it rather than digging through your staff reports. The cost of this was about 30 volunteer person hours and hard cost of about $100. Map Your Property was there. We also created the one-sheet version of it so that you're not having to dig through a bunch of staff reports to find your stats. If you want to know about HousingNowTO, you can use our one-sheet system. And that's available on our website to anybody to look at, and it uses your staff numbers. It just puts them all into a single place. You were asking for what we need to do as a City of Toronto to catch up with our global peers. You've got three choices. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. You're not leading because you're 7 years behind where New York was when it comes to giving your CIO a legal mandate to do this stuff. You're barely following at the moment, so people are working around you. We're doing stuff like the HousingNowTO system in order to deliver what the people want. We'd rather do it with you than without you, but that's unfortunately not the way things are at the moment. And that's my time. Thank you.